tamenam suvirudamulam asanga shastrena hridena chitva tataha padam taparimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartani bhuyaha tam eva charyam purusham prapadye yata pravritti pasita purani.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down the strongly rooted tree, the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began, from whom everything has extended since time.
Prabhuji, could you please move the screen down? Thank you. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandver vimukta sukha dukkha samagner gachanti amudah padam avyayam yatat.
Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Na tadbhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante tadama paramam mama.
That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world.
Mamevam sho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manaha sasta indriyani prakriti stani karshati.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Shariram yad vapnoti yachapi Ukramatishvaraha Grihaivanti Samyati Vayurgandhani Vashayat.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and then quits it to take another.
Shrotam Chakshu Sparshanam Cha Rasanam Granameva Cha Adishtaya Manaschayam Vishayan Upasevate.
The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Ukramantam Sitam Vapi Munjanam Vagunavitam Vimudana Nanu Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
Yatanto yoginaschainam Pashyanti Atmani Avastitam Yatanto pi Akritatmano Nainam Pashyanti Chetasaha.
The endeavoring transcendentalists, who are situated in self-realization, can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to.
Yadadityagatam tejo Jagadbhasayate kilam Yat Chandram si Yat Chagno Tat Tejo Vidimamakam.
The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me.
Kamavishya cha bhutani dharayami aham mojasa pushnami cha shuddhihi sarvaha somo bhutvar satmakaha.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
Aham Vaishnavaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Pranapana Samayukta Pachami Anam Chaturvidam.
I'm the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities. I join with their air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff.
Sarvasya Chaham Ridishani Visto Mata Smritiryanamapohanam Cha Vedascha Sarve Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krid Veda Videva Chaham.
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Dvavimo Purusho Loke Kshara Eva Cha Ksharaha Sarvani Bhutani Kutosto Kshara Uchyate.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible.
Uttamaha Purushastva Anyaha Paramet Parametmi Paramatmetmi Udritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Bibharti Avyaya Ishvaraha.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them.
Yasmat Sharam Atitoham Aksharad Apichotamaha Atosmi Loke Vedecha Pratitaha Purushotamaha.
Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person.
Yomam Evam Samudo Janati Purushottamam Sa Sarva Vidbhajati Mam Sarva Bhavena Bharataha.
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting, he is the knower of everything, and therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata.
Iti Guyatam Shastram Idam Uktamayangaha Etad Budva Buddhi Mam Syat Krita Krityascha Bharata.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Shu Upanishadeshu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Purushottama Yoga Nama Panchadashaha Adhyayaha. Thank you so much, Sri Dam and Yash, for making a very wonderful start to this most auspicious called Purushottam Yoga. And it's the first day of the month of Purushottam, a very auspicious month, as we've been hearing the glories of this month through the lotus mouth of many wonderful devotees like His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. His Grace Karthik Chand Prabhu was speaking yesterday. Then Amrendra Prabhu has given a wonderful talk. So we all know about how auspicious this beautiful month is. And one of the recommendations made in this month is about reading this beautiful chapter of the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So thank you, Yash, once again, and Sridham for joining us live on this session. We will now move to our text one, because again, I'd like to welcome if anybody has joined us for the first time in this session. So what we normally do is we recite one chapter every day. We've been doing this yagya for the last, I believe since April. I think we started somewhere in April after the lockdown. And every evening we come together to recite one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And then we discuss one verse from that chapter. And that each chapter goes on for 4 weeks. By the time we finish the chapter, we probably finish all the, not probably, we definitely finish going through all the verses and the purports of Srila Prabhupada. And if the chapter is long, we divide it into 2 sections. Section 1 has half of the verses of the chapter, and section 2 have the rest of the half chapters. So it's a great opportunity. Prabhupada himself said on 2 occasions in a letter to his disciple that I request all my students to at least recite one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. So we are following in the footsteps of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So I'd like to welcome any newcomers and as well as our regular reciters of this chat program. So welcome everybody for this session. So I'll share the slides from this session with all of you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Actually, before the slide, I think I better share the verse, and so we can read the purport. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Mulam Adha Saksha Sakam Ashvatam Prahur Avyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Purport. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of the Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of the universe, of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that the devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of this material existence grows upward. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded, with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upward. But there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through the analytical study, then he can cut off his relationship with it. This tree being the reflection of the real tree is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree. And from the root, according to the Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, then the three gunas, then the five gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, Dasendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all the manifestation, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees. And the other 180 degree constitute the spiritual world. The material world is a pervaded reflection, so the spiritual world must have some variegatedness, but in reality. Same variegatedness, but in reality. The Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself. And that is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off the attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let's begin with a little bit of a connection with the previous chapter. Now, if you all know, we were reading, or you can say studying the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord's universal form is being envisioned by Arjuna and Sanjaya, who was then explaining it to Dhritarashtra. Having seen the beautiful two-armed form at the end of the 11th chapter on request of Arjuna, now Krishna begins to explain the glories of the devotional service in the 12th chapter. 12th chapter is entitled the Pure Devotional Service. And after hearing the glories of the pure devotional service, we move on to the material nature. And Krishna explains how this whole world, or the three modes of material nature, is driving the living entities when we are conditioned. And after that chapter, we come on to the 14th chapter. And at the end of the 14th chapter, Krishna described that one who transcends the modes through devotional service. So now, but to attain devotion to him, one needs detachment from the material world. That's how the 14th chapter ends, is that how to transcend that modes which Krishna was explaining in the 13th chapter. So the 14th chapter is entitled the three modes of material nature, and the 13th chapter is nature, the enjoyment, and consciousness. So now Krishna begins the chapter 15 by explaining the need for detachment by using a metaphor that compares the material world to an ashwatha or a banyan tree. And then Krishna describes the Purushottam Yoga in text 15.6 all the way to text 20. And hence this chapter, the beautiful chapter, is entitled Purushottam Yoga, or the Yoga of the Supreme Person. Highly recommended chapter to get attached to in this month of Purushottam. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to come together, recite the chapter, and discuss these verses. So let's have a look at the breakdown of this chapter. There are altogether 5 sections in this chapter. The section 1 is where we are beginning, which constitute of 5 verses, where we learn that how to become detached from this material world through the metaphor of this banyan tree, which and the explanation continues all the way to the text 5. And then ultimately it culminates that one should surrender to Krishna to attain to the spiritual world in this section. In the section 2, we see how the transmigration takes place. From text 6 to text 11, the goal, it is explained that the goal should be to leave the material world and return to spiritual world. Then it is explained how every living entity, how we are actually mame vamso, jiva loke, jiva bhuta, sanatana, how we are part and parcel of the Lord. And yet we are struggling from body to body in search of the pleasure. So now we understand, okay, we are part and parcel of the Lord, yet we are conditioned. But now the formula comes how to transcend that conditioning and go back to the spiritual world through the via medium of the devotional service. And the transcendentalists can see this clearly, but the blind materialists, they cannot see this. So the difference between a blind person and a transcendentalist will be explained in this section of transmigration. In the section 3, we will cover how Krishna's position as our maintainer. In these 4 verses from text 12 to 15, Krishna is explaining that how he is our maintainer. We should be attached to Krishna by knowing his position as our maintainer on both the cosmic and the personal levels, and also how he's the compiler of the Vedanta and the knower of the Vedas. One of my favorite verses is there in the Bhagavad Gita, this beautiful verse which we recited, Vedasya sarvam aham eva vedyo. And then in the section 4, we learn from, sorry, I made a mistake. It should be text 16. Let me just correct that. So in the section 4, we will learn how the 3 Shloka Gita of the knowledge, summary of the Vedas and the Vedanta. In that part, we will learn how the conditioned living entities are fallible. We are Anu and the Lord is Vibhu. Being Anu, we are the marginal, or rather Tatashta Shakti of the Lord, and therefore we are open to suggestion as we call it. So if somebody tells us, why are you loitering in this material world? There is another world beyond this material world. Do you know about it? Then the living entity who has some pious credits, he will open up to that suggestion and say, yeah, I definitely want to learn about it because I'm definitely feeling a sense of suffering in this world. So please tell me about the spiritual world. And then in the harmony with the Lord's desires, we are infallible. When we want to be with the Lord, then nothing can touch us. The material energy cannot touch us at all. And finally, beyond both this is the transcendental supreme person, the super soul who maintains the 3 worlds. And both in this world and the Vedas, Krishna is celebrated as the supreme person, the super soul. And in the last section with the 2 verses, we will know how Krishna means knowing everything. And when we know Krishna's position and we engage in, and then that's when we can engage in Krishna's devotional service. Knowing this most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures will make us wise and bring us to the perfection level in, or help us achieve perfection in our endeavors. So here is the first section, ladies and gentlemen, which is we are now discussing. Sorry. So the practical application here is in this section is that how can we become detached from the material world? And one can be free from the entanglement within the material world by cultivating a transcendental desire to enter the spiritual world. So that's the first thing. The moment we as a conditioned living entities come through scriptures And in the words of Sutapa Prabhu, who said, the scriptures of the Shastra, especially Srila Prabhupada, transcendental books, they give us perspective. They give us the perspective of how this world is dukhalayam ashashvatam, that it is full of miseries. And then it also gives us a perspective of the transcendental world. Golokanamni nijadhamni chale chatisa. So it gives us the perspective of Golok Dham, which is above the Dham of even Lord Shiva, Dham of Durga, and beyond this material world. It is situated in the spiritual world. So we get that perspective. Then we get the process through which we can transcend. As you can see in this picture, this devotee or this Prabhu is transcending from the material world and entering into Golok Vrindavan. So we get that perspective through the Shastra. And what becomes our biggest tool to transcend from material world to the spiritual world is the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That allows us to go to the reality which is beyond this material world, because the holy name is non-different to the Lord. And by chanting or taking to the process of the chanting of the holy name sincerely, a sadhaka begins to cleanse his heart, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends in Shikshastakam, Cheto Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Madhvagani Nirvapanam. So through the process of chanting, all that dirt which is accumulated on our heart gets cleared. But how can it get cleared? What kind of mood we need? Mahaprabhu again explains, Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahi suna amani na manadena kirtanya sadahari. That one should be more humbler than the blade of grass. He should be devoid of any false prestige. He should be ready to give respects to others and not expect any respect in return. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord. So we need to really harbor this desire in our consciousness, in our heart, in our mind, in our words, that I want to go to spiritual world. Only then we will be able to really cultivate this longing of being in the spiritual world through the process of devotional service. So here, let's see how much we can cover. We have another 10-12 minutes. I think we'll probably go over till 10:35 and take any comments and questions after that. So we see one who knows this tree here, the material world is an upside banyan tree. This is what the text 1 explains. How? One who knows this tree is a true knower of the Vedas. This is explained in this particular verse. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that after discussing Bhakti Yoga, one may question what about the Vedas? But chapter 15 describes the purpose of the Vedic study is to understand Krishna. So there are two ways to approaching the Vedas, ladies and gentlemen. One way is that we can directly approach the Veda just to gain knowledge. And if that's our intention and that's what we want to do, and many Gyanis approach Vedas from that perspective, that all they want to do is develop detachment from this material world, and for that they need Gyan. So in that state of mind, you can definitely achieve to a certain degree, a certain level of spiritual perfection, but you will not be able to achieve the perfection which you need in order to attain to the spiritual world in the personal association of the Lord. There is a beautiful text which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 5th canto, 5th chapter, 2nd verse, which explains Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam Mahantaste Samachitta Prashanta Viman Yava Surhida Sadhuvo. So I'll read the exact translation from the Bhagavatam, just so that we get it right. The translation of this beautiful verse is that one can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities and who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. So the point here is there are two kinds of Mahatmas. One is a Mahatma who's just after some gyan, which is a very respectable position. But according to Srila Prabhupada and our Acharya in the Gaudiya Madhav Sampradaya, it's not the best level to be at. Best thing is to aspire for devotional service. It is explained in another place in Bhagavatam, Akama sarva kamhuva moksha kama udarite tivrena bhakti yogendra yajate purusham param. Whether one is desirous of attaining some material benefit or even attaining mukti or attaining devotional service, a man with a steady intelligence or rather the word used is a broader intelligence should try to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in all aspects, whatever one may desire, because the reason for surrendering to Lord Krishna is that in return we get bhakti, which is ahituki, and it is completely not, it is not at all motivated by material desires. Gradually we may have desires, but because we have approached the right person, that's why you see in this Purushottam month we just recited with my family Chaura Ashtakam. It's such a beautiful Ashtakam, and in that Bivla Mangal Thakur writes very beautifully. He says, "O thief of all the thieves, you know, you not only have stolen the heart of Radharani, but you are also expert in stealing all those desires, material desires or sinful activities of your devotees." That's how wonderful the Lord is. So when we approach the Lord Purushottam, even if we have material desires, gradually we will get purified. And through the process of purification, we will be able to attain the transcendental platform of bhakti. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service, he already knows the Vedas. So there are 5 aspects to these verses, Prabhus and Matajis. Let's see if we can cover 2 or 3, and then we will cover the rest too tomorrow. So the first aspect is that the entire material world is here compared to a banyan tree. And it is explained that for one who's engaged in the fruitive acts, there is no end to this banyan tree, which is very deep rooted. One wanders from one branch with no end. So you see, actually Prabhupada gives this explanation. I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto today. In the 14th chapter, Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy. He says, a banyan tree is a bigger banyan tree. So the monkey is jumping from one branch to another branch and it's big. And he's looking to enjoy. And that's how the living entities are trying to do. They jump onto one branch thinking, I'll be very happy with this person, this material product or this sense object. And soon he gets frustrated and he jumps onto the another tree. So perpetually our jump is going on from one banyan tree to another banyan tree. But here Prabhupada uses, or rather Krishna is using the metaphor in the sense that you see the banyan tree branches are so many. It's such a vast branch and so many branches are there. Similarly, this material world is compared to this kind of a banyan tree where the branches are manifold. If you bear with me, I came across something so beautiful and thrilling of Srila Prabhupada's lecture from this particular verse, which I want to share with you so that it comes as it is from Prabhupada's lotus mouth. And I don't put any of my personal interpretation. I think it would be nice if I just read that little paragraph. So bear with me 1 second. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Here it is. So Prabhupada says, sorry. Here. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, here it is said, Urdhava Mulam. If somebody catches you and keeps your head down and feet up, it will not be very comfortable. So this whole material world is like that. urdhava mulam. The mulam should have been down, but it is up. Therefore, it is uncomfortable. And another explanation is that it is a pervaded reflection. So you see, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that when the same tree is situated at the shore of a lake, the branches of the tree are reflected to be, or the roots are reflected to be up, and the actual tree is reflected to go down. So Prabhupada gives this beautiful analogy to understand, if somebody puts us, like takes us from our feet and turns us around completely 360 degree, you see, we will be so uncomfortable. So that analogy is given to make us understand that that's how this material world is. Yet we are thinking this is the best place for our enjoyment and we can be perpetually happy. But that happiness is like holding a sand in our hand, and it's like, it's a very, very tiny happiness, which is also falling apart one after another, and so many miseries are coming into our life. So that is why we are perpetually wandering from one branch, and there is no end to this conditioning of our existence. And now we will see in the next part, we will cover these two parts, which is the purpose of the Vedic hymns. It is explained is to elevate oneself gradually. So you see, Vyasadeva, who's the compiler of all the Vedanta Sutra, when he compiled the 4 Vedas, all these Vedas have different things we can learn. Like the Vedas taught us about art. Some of the Vedas teach us about the rituals. So they are a gradual process to bring us to the point of developing detachment, and then gradually coming to the level where we can have some sukriti to take to the process of devotional service. But because we are so fortunate that our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he created this Sukriti already for us, and through his blessings and mercy, we are able to somehow or other, actually, we are very fortunate to be able to practice this process of devotional service directly. In previous life, I suppose we may have gone through some stages, done something, but at least we know what is the process. So there is one process of gradually elevating ourselves through the Vedic hymns. And that's why you can go through Karma Kanda, Sakama Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and finally to the Bhakti Yoga. And then we understand that this tree is illusion. It's temporary. It's there. It's not false because it's existing, but it is temporary. And one who understands this indestructible tree of illusion, he can get out of it by the sword of detachment. And few days ago, I came across this wonderful quote. It's not by a devotee, but it's quite illuminating. The quote is that detachment is not that you should own nothing, but nothing should own you. And that is the spirit of a devotee. He uses everything for Krishna's service, and yet he is not attached to it. And that is why Srila Prabhupada used to very strongly refute the arguments of the people, where people will come up to Prabhupada and say, oh Swamiji, you are traveling in a business class in a plane, and look at how big your car is. One reporter said to Swamiji, are you supposed to be using these luxurious things? And Srila Prabhupada turned around and said, actually, in the spiritual world, there are cars which are completely made up of gold, and they can not only run on the road, they can, if you want, they can fly. So the reporter was completely bewildered. So Prabhupada said, my devotees, out of their love, somehow or other, they're able to do this much. But a spiritual master should be given a car made up of gold. So look, and he's not speaking for himself. He's giving directly from coming directly from the perspective of Shastra, because the spiritual master is non-different to the Lord, and he should be worshipped in such a way. But a spiritual master himself would never claim to be God. You see, that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So that is why this detachment is not something that should own us, but that nothing should own us. That's the main thing, as far as the detachment is
These
concerned.
are beautiful things. They just stick to Srila Prabhupada's words. They don't make up their own conclusions.
Thank you, Mataji, for the encouragement. I think your mute is you're unmuted at the moment, but I take that for Srila Prabhupada's mercy that we try to repeat his words. So I just wanted to see, because there are a lot of things covered in this chapter, and I don't want to, we have time because we have 29, 30 days for Purushottam month. And we will be covering quite a few things. There may be a text which we will cover over 2 days. And being it's the first chapter and I gave you the overview, I think we should stop here and we will cover the point D and E in the next section. But just so that you know what those points are, we will discuss the process of extrication from material world, how we can get out, what are the direct and the indirect methods. And then we will see how chapter 15 refutes impersonalism, which says that the spiritual world consists of undifferentiated Brahman only. So we will cover this tomorrow in our session, but let's end here to take some reflection, especially if there is anybody new. So what we normally do is we stop here, and you have a chat button there where you can send a reflection. Reflection is not necessarily a question, but it's a comment or a concept which stuck in your mind, which you can reflect back, and so that it helps illuminate the conversation. It also helps us to go away with something in our pocket and to ponder on and to imbibe that in our life. However, if you also have a question, you can unmute yourself or send it through the chat button. So over to you, Prabhus and Matajis, for any comments. I did have one message from Mataji. Let me go back to my chat message. So we had, okay, Bhagavati Mataji said, wonderful recitation by Sridham and Yash. Well done. Bless you both on this auspicious month of Purushottam. Neha Mataji is saying, Hare Krishna Divyanam Prabhu, which Ashtakam is that you mentioned? It's called Chaura Ashtakam Mataji, Caura, by Bivla Mangal Thakur. You can Google it. And it is there, it is available. It is a highly recommended Ashtakam along with Jagannath Ashtakam, which can be sung every day in this month of Purushottam. And you can offer a diya lamp to the Lord, to Shishi Radha Gokulananda, or to your deities at home as you're singing the Ashtakam or at the end of the Ashtakam. And offering the diya lamp, as I said, 1,000 more times benefit than Kartik. So you can imagine how amazing this month is, Prabhus and Mataji. So any more reflections or comments? Neha Mataji saying thank you. Thank you, Neha Mataji. Yashwini Mataji is saying, my sincere apologies. I was trying to explain to my husband that I find it so amazing that we use Srila Prabhupada's words only. Well, Mataji, I certainly do not have any realizations. I haven't even begun to walk in Krishna consciousness. So I read Prabhupada books as much as I can. And with what I assimilate, I reflect that back from those reflections. I hear from my spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. And that's the only thing we try to do. So thank you so much for your encouragement there, Mataji. Saroj Mataji saying, Hare Krishna Prabhu did not quite understand about Prabhupada talking about a gold car. Okay. So Mataji, I was giving a pastime of Srila Prabhupada, where a reporter came to Prabhupada when he landed in an airport, seeing a big limousine ready for Prabhupada to take him to his destination. He said, you are a Swami in a saffron dress. You're supposed to be detached from the material world. Why are you using this luxurious cars and flying in the aeroplanes and things like that? So Srila Prabhupada turned around and told him that this limousine is actually nothing. I'm paraphrasing. In the spiritual world, there are cars of gold on which the devotees of the Lord fly on, and they are a million times more expensive than these cars. And my devotees are doing what they can to please me, and I'm very pleased with that. So the point is, anything which can be used to serve or further Krishna consciousness should be definitely engaged in the service of this of the Krishna consciousness movement. So for Grahastha, it's the very important thing that we utilize our car in filling up the petrol, which is used for going to the places for book distribution, to the temple, distributing of prasadam alongside our work. And that will be the perfection of us having whatever car we want to have. We may have some desire to have a Mercedes or whatever you want to have, which is understandable initially, but if you can engage your car in expanding the Sankirtan movement of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that'll not only take you to the spiritual world, that'll also take your car to the I'm joking, but that'll be the perfection of having you the car. Okay.
Prabhu, I got one
Thank you, Prabhu.
reflection.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, go ahead, Mataji. You have a question?
I've got a reflection about this
Yes, please
material,
go ahead, Vishalini Mataji. Go ahead, share your reflection.
how attached we are to this material tree. And we are jumping from one branch to another, life after life.
Hmm.
And we are like little monkeys, jumping from one to another, not realizing and how this word of enlightenment should, or torch of light, we should end this material jumping and go to the spiritual world.
Yeah, that is very true, Mataji. We are we think that I can be happy if I have this, I can be happy if I have that, but there's no end to that kind of happiness. And Krishna is trying to pull us through this medium of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and many other books, that please try to realize the futility of this material world by reading my books, by taking the association of the Vaishnavas who have some taste for my abode, my dham, and my qualities, my pastimes, and my holy name. And by hanging on to, as I read that beautiful text, by serving to such Vaishnavas, our doors will open to the spiritual world, and gradually we'll be able to detach ourselves from the spiritual world. So thank you for sharing
Thank
that
you.
profound reflection,
Thank
Mataji. Garta Mataji has shared a reflection here. It is very important to maintain detachment from the material condition, as it is necessary to chop down the entanglement of the banyan tree of the wanderings in this world. Association of devotees is very important. Yes, thank you, Garta Mataji. Paru Mataji is saying, Hare Krishna Prabhu, as some of us are pushed for time, can we achieve back to Godhead just by chanting the Maha Mantra? What a nice question, Paru Mataji. Yes, your answer is right. You can. However, you in the process of chanting the Maha Mantra and reading Prabhupada books, even if you did little bit, you will soon realize that you're not pushed for time. What you are pushed for right now, although looks like a time, but Prabhupada explains it to be a taste. Because we do not have the taste for reading Srila Prabhupada books, because we do not have the taste for chanting the holy name, and we haven't quite developed the right mood to chant the holy name, we look at things around us in a time factor. We think, oh, it's the time, but actually Prabhupada explained param drishtava nivartante. In Bhagavad Gita, it is explained, when you get a higher taste, you automatically leave something which is inferior. And time is one such factor which limits us, thinking, I don't have a time. Actually, it's not the time. In the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jat Bharat explains to King Rahuguna that, my dear king, you think that you are the king, you think you are the controller, you think you can scold these people who are not carrying your palanquin properly, but actually it is your mind which is conditioned by such designations. And because of such designations which are within the jurisdiction of the time, you're speaking like that. But once we get even a slighted, like an iota or a small drop of the taste, I always often use, my Guru Maharaj says that if we take a moment in our life to pause and think, how much effort did Srila Prabhupada put to write these books or transcribe Srimad Bhagavatam? He did not stop. Wherever he went, he worked on his books. And if we appreciate that effort of Srila Prabhupada, and even if a drop of that same effort we can apply to study his books and then to distribute, we will naturally become the recipient of the taste, Mataji. This is a proven, tested formula by Srila Prabhupada disciples, or those who have dedicated their life to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet, actually. So that would be my answer to your question. Yes, the holy name itself is enough to deliver us from the spiritual world, but to understand how glorious is the holy name, it is important to somehow or other educate ourselves a little bit, because we learned in today's verse, Prabhupada is saying the goal of the Vedas is to know about the Krishna. And knowing about Krishna is to know about how glorious is his pastimes and his holy name is. So I hope that answers your question, Paru Mataji. Santosh Mataji is saying, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, wonderful session. I have a question. when offering the ghee lamp, is there a special prayer to recite? Thank you. Mataji, you can recite the Ashtakam when you're offering the lamp, because it is explained by our acharyas that that offering of lamp we are offering is actually, we are trying to offer our heart or our intention or our mood of love to the Lord. So although the lamp is a symbol of illumination, but what we are asking is the Lord of Purushottam or the Lord of Damodar in the month of Kartik, oh my Lord, please illuminate my heart with the transcendental knowledge or the bhakti in my heart so I can worship you nicely. So in that mood, you can offer the diya to the Lord, Mataji, and pray to the Lord in that way. Hema Mataji is saying, thank you, Prabhu. I have read this chapter many times. I struggle with understanding the analogy of upside down tree. Today you have explained it really well. Thank you. I don't know, Hema Mataji, you are very humble. You know, you have dedicated your life to Srila Prabhupada. It's your mood which helps you understand the message of Bhagavad Gita. That's all I can say. And thank you very much. Thank you. Great class and happy belated. Thank you, Hema Mataji. So Hema Mataji also reminded me that it would be nice that I mean, every day might be difficult because considering the time, but I will definitely request you that every day with your family members at some point recite this Chora Ashtakam together. Tomorrow evening, I know there is, I believe, I can't remember, Jolly Mataji or somebody requested to recite the particular bhajan. But if I could request you, Mataji, to hold on to your bhajan for few weeks, because in this month of Purushottam, let's recite Chora Ashtakam tomorrow, and then we will we will definitely welcome you to recite the bhajan you wanted to sing. And but for tomorrow we will go to Chora Ashtakam, and then next Saturday we will do Jagannath Ashtakam. So let's immerse ourselves in this month by worshipping these beautiful lordships actually. Rita Mataji is saying, Prabhu, can you please repeat which prayer should be done at the auspicious Purushottam month of Lord Krishna? Many thanks. So as I said, Mataji, you can try to increase the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. There is no better prayer than the holy name in the world, as our acharyas have given to us. However, other bhajans help us to develop our intensity and mood to chant the holy name in a nice way. So on those lines, Jagannath Ashtakam, and Chora Ashtakam, which is basically a thief, or the biggest thief, Bibla Mangal Thakur is telling the Lord, who's stealing our sinful reactions and also stealing our hearts, has stolen the heart of Srimati Radharani. That bhajan is sung in that mood. It's a very, very nice bhajan. So you can sing that. Please do a Tulsi Aarti every day. Srila Prabhupada's famous ISKCON book. Use that. Do Tulsi Aarti every day. Offer a diya lamp to your deities at home. And yeah, just make the day, just do these many prayers, Mataji, to begin with. There are many other Sachi Sutta Ashtakam, there are many Ashtakams you can do, but begin with these two as my recommendation. Bhagwati Mataji is saying, thank you, Prabhuji, wonderful explanation with profound information. Goal about the Vedas is very important. Hema Mataji is sharing a reflection. Futility of this world is such that just one ripple in the water and the reflection of the tree disappears. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. Paru Mataji, thank you, Prabhuji, for the guidance. Okay, I hope I was able to answer your question, Paru Mataji. Any other comments or questions? We have a few more minutes. Let me read another beautiful verse to conclude, which is quite nice. And these are the teachings I'm trying to meditate of Jat Bharat to King Rahuguna. Jat Bharat was a deer in his past life, and previous to that, he was a king, the king of whole Bharatvarsha, in fact, the whole world. And he was the richest person on the planet. He renounced everything, his whole kingdom. But unfortunately, when he went to the forest, he got attached to a deer. And while dying, he was thinking of the deer, and he had to take a body of the deer. But somehow or other, he was blessed to have the benediction to be able to remember his past life, even though in the body of deer. And then at the last time of him dying, Actually, if I can find that, it was such an illuminating purport I read today at the end of this chapter, and Prabhupada makes it so crystal clear. I think I'll struggle to find the purport right now, but all I can tell you is the essence of that. Prabhupada was saying that Bharat Maharaj, even in the body of the deer, as he was about to give up that body, he prayed to the Lord that, my Lord, I'm grateful that you gave me the remembrance, even in the body of deer, to remember you. Let me serve you birth after birth after birth. That was the prayer of Bharat Maharaj in the body of deer, ladies and gentlemen. And at that time, he left his body of deer and took a body of Jat Bharat. Even from his childhood, he was already a Paramhamsa with no intention or desire to engage in any of the regulative principles or any regulations. All he wanted to do from his childhood is perform pure devotional service. Even to the matter, like he was not at all interested in any rules of cleanliness or that matter, because he knew he will get implicated somehow or other in following the regulations. So he did everything the other way what his father told him, although his father was an elevated Brahmana. And soon he left home to become, already he was a Paramhamsa. And then he somehow got engaged, in a long story short, in carrying a palanquin of King Rahuguna, who chastised him that, what are you doing? Why are you not carrying my palanquin properly? And Jat Bharat was not able to carry the palanquin because every time he was taking a step, he was looking 3 steps ahead of him to see if there is any ant there which he could step on. The same deer body, the same Bharat Maharaj who got attached to deer. Look at this beauty of the devotional service. He became so conscious that he was consciously, he didn't want to harm the ants actually. And here is the teaching of Bharat Maharaj in the first verse. This is Lord Rishabhadev, who was then the father of Bharat Maharaj when he was the king. And he was teaching his 100 sons. And his first son was Bharat Maharaj, who became the teacher of the 99 sons later. Nayam deho deha bhajam narloke kashtan kaman arhate bhujam ye tapo divyam putrake nayena satvam suddayet yashmet brahma sakhyam tav anantam. My dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted the material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activities, one heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. I hope that will add as a nice meditation for our evening of the first evening of the month of Purushottam, that let's dedicate our life. How? Not like animals, hogs and dogs who are interested in eating stool, but for tapo divyam, for austerity and penance. And what do we get when we do austerity and penance? We get a state of purified mind with which we can engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, which is eternal, blissful, and it continues forever. That's the happiest state we can attain by taking the instructions of Rishabhadev, who was none other than the incarnation of Lord Krishna, trying to give instructions to his 100 sons and also the unlimited living entities like us actually. So on that note, I mean, I just want to say that even one verse of Bhagavatam, you can live the rest of your life with one verse. You know, that's how beautiful each verse of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are. So carry little books like this. If you don't have, you can order them from, I think, krishnashopping.com. They're called Bhagavad Ratnamala, or Bhagavad Gita also has a Bhagavad Gita Ratnamala. And just when you get a chance, read one verse when you have time, and your mind will be absorbed in thinking of Lord Krishna that way. And now, Kalpana Mataji, thank you very much for the wonderful explanation of chapter 15. Haribol, where can we find Chaura Astakam? Mataji, if you Google Chaura Astakam, what I'll do is I will share the link of Hima Mataji, who shared with me on the group today. And you can then look at the lyrics of it after hearing in the YouTube that bhajan. I hope that's helpful. Any other reflections before we conclude today's session? If not, thank you, Kalpana Mataji. If not, I would like you all to thank you very much for joining us this evening on the first evening of Purushottam month. Let's keep the transcendental vibration of the holy name and Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam going throughout this month and beyond for everyone's benefit, and of course to starting with our own self, because the whole idea is we have to save one soul at a time, beginning with ourselves. Divya Gaurangi Mataji saying, I joined a little late today. Thank you so much for a very inspiring super class. I don't know about super class, Mataji. I tried to repeat the words of Srila Prabhupada. And if you felt that was helpful, then I'm very grateful. Thank you, Divya Gaurangi Mataji. So vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna
Thank
to
you, Palika Mataji,
everybody.
for joining in. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
33.